The end of World War II. This is the Great Awakening, Unit 1 Timeline Research. The next few videos, the next series of videos I'm going to do is going to be getting into what happened after World War II and the events leading up to the world that we live in now, and how they have never told you the full story of what's going on in our world. These wars are a deception, they are a massive cover up, and we're going to get into that further. And hopefully, by the end of this series of video, you will understand kind of what I am understanding and seeing, and you'll see kind of how this is playing out moving into the Third World War, which we are quickly approaching and moving into. So this is the end of World War II. It's a summary in Decode, and this is the Great Awakening Unit 1 Timeline Research. All this information is in my books. It's in the Unit 1 Timeline Research. So if you're interested in this, I suggest getting a copy of it. It goes all into this kind of information, explains what is going on. So please drop a thumbs up or a like before we start getting into this. This is the summary and decode of the Second Great War, or World War II, and the Nazis, or the National Zionists. If you haven't seen my three-part video series on the National Zionists or National Zionism, I suggest you go back, check those out. It's very interesting. Along with this research, I would watch my old world video and the video on the fall of the old world, which I'm going to be re-recording very soon, and I'll just pop that on at some point. That won't be a regular scheduled video. I want to put them both together and do one big video. So look for that coming pretty soon, and let's get into it. Understanding that the Great War, or World War I, as it's called, never really ended. Just like the Civil War, just like the Revolutionary War, just like all other wars, there is a greater goal of these wars that is not fulfilled until the world is reimagined in the image of Lucifer or Satan. That's where we're getting to. That's what the covering up of the old world is about. That's what the giant buildings, destroying the giant buildings, getting rid of the free energy, forcing everyone into debt and starvation. It's a reimagining of a one world under the guidance of Jesus Christ, inverted into a one world, new world order controlled by Satan. So the Great War, World War One, never really ended. It was paused for a few years until more funding and personnel could be made available. These wars were a direct continuation of the reset of our realm or the old world. The technology of warfare would lead to more precise destruction through the creation of atomic weapons. If you believe atomic weapons are real, it doesn't really matter. There are mass destruction weapons available, whether it's direct energy weapons, pulse cannons, whatever it is that they're shooting from the upper orbit or whatever they're doing, these rods of God or whatever they call them. So the Second World War, like all wars, was a massive sacrifice to bring forth the birth of a one world government and the creation of their Israel that they needed to get in order to fulfill all these biblical prophecies. Now, a lot of people don't believe that nuclear bombs are real or these atomic bombs or any of this stuff is real due to the fact that the destruction that they leave looks a lot like the destruction from the Great Chicago Fire, the San Francisco Fire, and all these massive fire reset events all have the same type of destruction as these supposed nuclear bombs. Now, was it a device planted that was exploded? Was it some kind of a gas that filled the air and they ignited this gas like an oxygen acetylene kind of thing that's very explosive? Or was it a pulsing from a direct energy weapons or this Black Knight satellite that we hear about? We don't know, but it's very odd how whenever they want you to believe something, you got to look into it further. And when they really push that you have to believe in nuclear weapons, you have to believe in the moon landing, you have to believe in the Holocaust, etc., etc., that's where the biggest amount of deception lies. And that's why when you go back in time and you view these old manuscripts, they had all this kind of stuff was around during the time of the old world. The technology, the anti gravity, the flying ships, the extreme technology that they had with underground transits and pneumatic transports and subways and high speed magnetic magneto leviton trains, all this stuff existed before 1850. And these leftover pieces of technology are used to further reset our world, telling a new version of reality and completely rewriting our story as we know it today as history or his story. So, at the end, one all powerful government controlled by the Crown of England or the monarchy, which is the Vatican and the Bank of Switzerland and Washington, D.C., Israel, all these separate entities within larger entities are the way this one world government work. And the one world government would have a one world religion that at its core would be the secret teachings of Freemasonry and Illumination, all worshiping their god, Lucifer or Satan, which is this black goo substance or this evil as a whole. Everything becomes a bad copy of what the old world possessed, destroying the old world of Tartaria or Tartary and replacing it with a new world of Satanism and demonic rule and control. So when these people say that they are God's chosen people, it's their God. It's not our God. It's their God. That is where they hide this stuff right in plain sight because no one ever asks any questions or looks into this any further. And that's how you can identify these people with taking a step back, listening to the words that are said in real time, like a spell cast on you, using the words and the grammar to hide their true purposes and their true meanings. And then they get their new world order, and basically they can repopulate the world how they see fit, removing all problem thinkers, these supposed star seed people, any descendants left over from Tartary or Tartaria, they're all gone, and then it's only these two tribes of the lost 12 tribes controlling all of the world, inheriting the Garden of Eden. And that's the master plan behind all of this. There were 12 tribes led out of Israel, and 10 of the tribes became Tartaria, and the two tribes became the Khazarians and the evil groups that didn't want to get along with the other plan. So the narratives coming out of the Second World War would not be the truth, but invented stories with some truth, but containing mostly lies. The facts are not truly allowed until all the players in the war are long dead and buried. And when the war concludes, then through Operation Paperclip, all of the elite Nazis were spread throughout America and Great Britain and the Soviet Union. This was to push the next great deception on to the people known as the space race. Because of Operation Paperclip, we must assume that the Nuremberg trials was a staged event to appease public outcry for justice. Now, you got these 12 Nazis, or I don't know how, 12, 14, whatever. All of the evil that the Nazis did were put on these guys. When 5,000 Nazis were brought into America and funneled into NASA and the CIA and the FBI, and also becoming NATO, and a lot of the other high level SS kind of people went down to Argentina, which is right on the boundary of the ice wall. Where the breakaway civilization of New Swabenland and the Nazis that escaped went over the ice wall to create a new land and develop technology and things like that. It's all a deception when you think of how many of these Nazi SS people were spread throughout the world and they only focus on, well, justice was done with this Nuremberg trial, but that is a complete deception when you understand that the space is fake and it's all a deception. And I'm going to get into that in the next video coming up of what Operation Paperclip was about. Uh, but it's pretty interesting that all these evil people supposedly justice was done, and then you got Uncle Walt Nazi here, Walt Disney, and Werner von Braun, another evil Nazi, coming here to trick the people into believing that space is real and we live on a spinning globe and all this satanic globe science and all this other stuff, which I'll get into in next week's video. But it's really fascinating when you take a step back, examine the evidence, and come up with your own conclusion instead of the conclusion they want you to have. Very interesting stuff. Those who committed the evilest deeds of the war all escaped. The death camps of President Truman are a prime example of covering the tracks of the New World Order government. The most horrific acts of death they committed on people should make anyone question what is evil. Dropping atomic weapons on civilian populations would show the world the extent that the New World Order slash controller people would go to in achieving their goals. Now, if you haven't heard of the Truman Rhine Meadows death camps, it's a very taboo subject to talk about. You can't find a lot of information. But basically, after World War II, all the remaining German population was rounded up into this camp and starved to death. And these controller people did a similar thing like this in the Civil War in Andersonville prison camps where they just starved people to death, killed them all off, and this would cover up all evidence of what was really going on and who these German people were, knowing that they are the descendants of where Tartary was, because Germany was Prussia, and before Prussia, it was Tartaria, which is a big key to this deception of this story. But it's very interesting when you look it up, you understand who we're dealing with here. These people are all Freemasons. They are all satanic. They all are Jewish. I mean, you're not allowed to say this, but they have inverted what Jews and Jewish people are. When you understand that the 12 tribes of Israel that were led out were Jews. Okay, but before Jesus Christ, children of God were called Jews. The people who follow God's word were Jews. So then Jesus Christ is formed or comes to us and teaches us a new way, and we follow Christ, which is God. And this would make that anyone still claiming to be Jewish is not following what they should, because Jews do not believe in Christ. And that is a big red flag, is showing that the Jews are the two tribes that didn't follow the commandments of God. And then you can get into like what the Talmud represents. The Ten Commandments were given to Moses, and then the Talmud was formed by secret oral traditions passed down through generation to generation, basically keeping all their Babylonian magic and all of their satanic stuff they were worshiping, secretly following Lucifer instead of Jesus Christ. And that's where most of this all plays out. A lot of these people on these alternate platforms, they love Hitler and they don't look into the fact that Hitler was Jewish. He was most likely a Freemason. He was most likely working with the controllers for the controllers. If you understand that the SS, the Nazi SS, were the synagogue of Satan, the Nazis were the National Zionists. The Aryan race they talk about are the Luciferians. These white skinned Jewish people are Aryan. They're Luciferians. They are white skinned. They're not Semitic people. They're not dark skinned people from the desert. It's all a deception, and if we do not uncover this deception, they're going to really get you when World War III starts, because they're going to launch all their nuclear weapons, they're going to bomb out all these cities, and then the Project Bluebeam alien thing is going to come. People are going to beg for a one world government to handle the alien invasion, and full control is going to take over. So there never will be a Nasara type gold backed currency where the people are free from the slavery. It will just move directly into this cashless currency, and how they're going to sell it as a utopia, and it will be a prison like you have never seen before. All with their secret handshakes, all with their hidden hand and their hidden agendas, all showing you the symbolism right out in plain sight, and no one truly understanding it, because it appears that the people who are the most outspoken or pushed to the front are agents of this hidden hand Freemasonry. And this is most of the streamers and podcasters and all these people that you see, the Joe Rogans and all, they will never tell you any of this stuff, I'm telling you. And don't act like they cannot figure this stuff out. I'm just a guy sitting here researching the information available, and this whole other version is right out there for people to find, and they just seem like they don't care, or they're just not allowed to talk about it. And one of the main reasons they're not allowed to talk about it is because no truth or fact is allowed to be spoken in the world constructed on lies. Now, when you get into the other deceptions of your straw man ID or your all capitalized identification numbers, your social security number, which is the bank account number, and things like that, you are a dead entity. All capitalization of your name makes you a dead entity, and dead things are not allowed to communicate with the living. You are not allowed to communicate or speak fact or truth if you are dead. This is how they get away with all their deceptions. So the biggest thing that you can identify is all these people who are Freemasons are not allowed to reveal any secrets to you because you are a dead person. Legally, you are a legal fiction and a dead entity. All capitalizations, your nom de guerre title, your this is your straw man ID. It is shows that you are dead. So when you go to talk about flat Earth, which is a truth and a proven fact, they are not allowed to talk about flat Earth because that is a fact. You are not allowed they can't talk about Jesus Christ because they know that's a truth. They're not allowed to acknowledge the mud flood, which was a factual event that happened. They're not allowed to talk about the old world or Tartaria. Nothing that is a fact is allowed to be spoken about. But they can talk about invented stuff like dinosaurs and Gobekli Tepe and the ancient Egyptians and the Anunnaki, whatever BS they are pushing, they can theorize about it all they want because there is no fact behind any of this stuff. They are theories. The theory of evolution, the Big Bang Theory, everything they push is theoretical. And this is how they can expand on it and theorize and do all this stuff because it is not fact. They will never get into the world of fact or truth. And that is how anyone who was not allowed to think about these things or talk about these things is an agent of these controllers. Something to think about. So soon after the Second World War, debt would once again be consolidated. During this time, the controllers would find that they were missing $8 billion of gold, along with large amounts of mercury and thousands of missing German personnel. Now, these were the Germans who would escape the system and relocate to Antarctica or our outer realm beyond the ice wall. Now, this could be interpreted a couple different ways, as a certain amount of people were let leave, they weren't allowed, but this missing money and missing personnel was a big reason why Operation High Jump took place in trying to gather the missing money, because you cannot have money when they're trying to hoard all of the money, force you onto this cashless system, which they knew they would push further down the line. It was part of their 150-year plan or whatever. So the Nazis who were friendly to the world government plans would be allowed to escape to Argentina, along with the evilest Nazis joining the United States, Soviet Union, and Great Britain, and where all these Western countries were that were not fully demolished. They would be infiltrated and slowly destroyed. And we can see that today, where all Western countries and nations are fully almost on the verge of being completely destroyed. So this is where they're going, and this is all part of the same thing, if you don't see that by now. But by the end of 1945, most of the world powers of our realm would have known the true shape on the Earth through balloons and stuff. This was a well known fact, where all of a sudden this space race would come up as a cover story and secure endless financing and create more secretive underground structures hidden from the general masses, also creating breakaway civilizations and things like that on the other side of the ice wall. So that's the main reason of the space race, is to hide the space that the people don't know about. And the Freemason people in the tops of the government, the Jews, Zionist people running it, they all know the truth of what's going on, but they all work together because they all are serving the same master, and it is not Jesus Christ. We know who it is, we know what's going on, we're figuring it out, and it's just, will enough of us figure this out before it's too late? And if you understand that both sides of these coins are the same coin, it's the same people, it's the same agendas. The U.S. corporate entity was established in 1871. Germany was established in 1871. And they are both controlled by debt and through banking by the same groups of people. Next, the deception of the Holocaust. This topic of the Holocaust, which cannot be questioned in any way, holds many clues to the truth. Anything that cannot be questioned should be examined very closely. Anytime one group is given extremely special treatment over another, it should be examined very closely. Did Jews die in World War II? Yes. People died of all races and ethnicities during World War II. During all wars, people die. But millions were not exterminated in a thing the way people think in these concentration camps. The real descendants of Jews were the white Christian people, and millions of them were fucking killed in these wars. That's the big game. But we only focus on these Jews that are killed. And that is what everyone should be questioning, is why are their lives better than all the other lives? So when this started, it was 250,000 Jews killed. Then it moves to 500,000. Then it went to a million. Then it went to 2 million. Then it went to 4 million. Now we're at 6 million. And there's no proof of any of this, but they just keep making the numbers higher. The more you figure out how many people are dying and how many supposed Native American Indians, not Tartarians, but the Native American Indians that were killed, it could have been 120 million Indians. No one's focusing on that. We're only focused on these 6 million people, and all of the world history has to revolve around these 6 million supposed people that were killed. It's ridiculous, and it's time we step back and understand it. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. That is history. His story, not our story. Science is all fake lies. The moon landing, We live on a globe. They keep repeating this over and over and over again, and it becomes the norm. And then people don't want to be wrong or question anything. So they do the work of the controllers by repeating the lies over and over and over again until the point where it is reality. And you cannot question it, or we will take your bank account. We will take your social media. We will take everything from you. We will make sure we'll ridicule you so you don't have any friends. We'll do everything we can to keep people from figuring out that the people telling you this are the liars, not the people trying to wake you up and getting you to question things. People who want you to question things want you to question things and think for yourself, in which they do not want you to think for yourself. They want the government doing the thinking for you through the government schools, through the TV, through the propaganda. They are the ones determining what reality is, and you are not allowed to step outside that or you will be removed from it. So the war was not about exterminating Jews, but exterminating the lost 10 tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes which merged into the 10 tribes, which became the Tartarian Empire. When the descendants were gone, a new version of history could be installed. Fast forward to 2022, which now it's 2024, and the white skinned Christian people are all on the chopping block to go. The only white skinned people that are allowed are these liberal Democrat people who are not a threat at all to anyone. They can't even figure out how to change a tire or do anything. They're not a threat. When they're all gone, the white Christian Tartarian descendants, the final reset will begin, and then a new version of history will be written, and a new historic timeline will be formed. Never to have existed in history except in myth and stories. There was once giants, you don't hear about giants. So in the future, they will say there was once a race of white skinned people who invented all this stuff, and they will say, no, that's just a myth. Black people invented everything. Black people built the pyramids. Black people invented the bicycle. Black people painted all the great art and all this stuff. It's all how they move these narratives forward. Now, we are currently seeing the fall of the Western civilization due to these vaccinations, the LGBTQ agendas where everyone's got to be gay. Guess what, people? Gay people don't reproduce. The way gay people reproduce is through sexual molestation and pedophilia. Now they make other people pedophiles by molesting people. This is the satanic agenda fully being recognized. And when the Third World War hits, which we're just about in, you're going to see everything reset, the grid going down. And then how long does that happen? If the power goes out today and 5 years go by the time they start getting things back going, where they could reclone the entire population, this becomes a reality, and then there's nothing you could do about it except try to hide yourself because this is coming and it's coming fast. The final war will reset all knowledge and people throughout the realm. They could reimagine maps, they could hide land, they can hide anything they want, they can hide and do. Because we know they've already done this once. And this is where what you're seeing. I know all these people think that these Nazis were great for trying to get rid of the Jews, but the Jews controlled the German population a lot like the Jews control the American population. All of the people in the government are Jewish or they're connected to Freemasonry. All of the people in the German 1939 40 were all Jew people. Okay, the SS people, look at them. They are not German people with blonde hair, and they're all rat-looking people. It's easy to see, and we can see it play out right in front of us with this LGBTQ stuff, right in front of our faces, and people just don't seem to understand the game being played on people. And before it's too late, they're gonna push this switch, and an election isn't gonna fix this. Voting these people out isn't going to fix this. The only thing that'll fix this is understanding history, having a revolution, re correcting the historical timeline, acknowledging Tartaria, acknowledging free energy, get people back into free energy and debtless money and things like that so we can advance our culture instead of demolishing it. So, questions that should be asked by those researching: how many died in the reset of the old world and the destruction or fall of Tartaria? Millions of people, billions of people. If you look at all the pictures of the abandoned cities, these are cities that hold millions of people and they have no people in them. No civilization exists. It's just massive, empty cities with no one around. Now, this was after this mud flood event where these people who founded or established towns just found a town and claimed it. So, how many Native people died during the first Great Reset? 40 million, 120 million, billions of people. All of America was abandoned, and all of these cities had zero people in them, from San Francisco to Chicago to Baltimore to New York to, if you look at all of these old world expos, wherever they were already established before people got here. And this completely rewrites the narrative of 1492 and Christopher Columbus and all of this stuff that they force down your throat over and over and over. How many Christians have been killed throughout the many resets of the world? Billions, millions. Between 6 and 8 million Germans were forcibly starved at the end of World War II in these death camps. Military personnel and civilians. How many children and adults go missing every year, never seen again? 8 million children worldwide go missing each year. Children and adults go missing each year. 800,000 children missing each year in the U.S. alone. Who is taking them? Why? Where are they going? How many secret society meeting places are there in the surrounding areas where these children and people go missing? We know these answers. I know these answers. It's just people don't want to accept the new reality that this research gives you. Understanding what was going on, who these Jew people, these Nazis are communicating with, who they serve, the entities they are worshiping, it's not hard to understand why they need these children and they need this adrenochrome and they need blood and they need inversions and perversions and all the stuff they push as normal now. This is all part of this greater deception. All history focuses on is slavery in North America with the blacks, the 4 to 6 supposed Jews killed during World War I. We're not allowed to question these things at all. I predict the truth will be told and history will be corrected in time. For instance, slavery in North America could not have happened without the acts of the native African population selling and enslaving individuals. You couldn't have had black slavery without the Jewish slave ships and the Jewish plantations that used these slaves. These were bought men and women from African blacks who owned the slaves and enslaved their own people. Just like black pimps and stuff. It's way cool to own people and traffic them for sex and stuff. It's their culture. They love it. It's the same with the Jewish culture. They love it. They love to enslave people. They love to lie to people. They love to, hold your debt and make you live in abhorrent conditions because you can't afford to eat because they keep devaluing your money and stuff like that. They laugh. They love it. These facts are never discussed, they're never brought up. No one brings up Asian slaves or Irish slaves or nothing. No one brings it up. No one talks about it. No one cares because white people, Asian people were once a part of this Tartaria, and their lives mean less to the Jew people who are running things. They don't care. They think of you as goyim animal people, and we deserve this because the people are so stupid they don't see it. Well, we're seeing it, and we're starting to acknowledge it, and we're trying to recorrect history. This is why they shadow ban us and suppress us and hide us and delete us and ridicule us and all this stuff because we know what's going on. And the Mason people who run your town and your city, if you're looking into this, they know who you are. They blacklist you, they blackball you, they make sure no other Masonic people can do business with you. You're not allowed to sell your goods. You're not allowed to push your ideas. You're not allowed to become a thought leader in the community. It's not allowed. But the focus is always on the people who are being used for an agenda, either known or unknown to them. No man should be held accountable for the actions of his ancestors. No race should be held above another, and no man is above another in the eyes of God. But don't say that to the blacks or the Jews. They don't want to hear it. They're the superior race, and any opportunity they get, they're going to tell you that they are. That should be the red flag that everyone should be looking at to identify who the problem people are. And we get this world where the Nazis turn into NATO. It's all proven right there. And then NATO turns into the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum is the Council on Foreign Relations and the New World Order. And it's all the same circle. It's all the same people over and over again. And somehow they just never see it. And they all are living in the reality they create and that they want to believe, even if it's not based in fact, and they don't have the understanding necessary to get to the foundation of these deceptions. So after World War II, we had Operation Paperclip in 1945, Operation High Jump in 1946, the Roswell Crash in 1947, then the CIA is founded in 1947, and then Israel is formed in 1948 and 1949. And if you don't think this is planned and you think this is all a coincidence and whatever you want to think, well, hopefully this new video series I'm going to get into will get you questioning the stories that you have been told. And it all connects to the black goo organism because all isms are connected mainly through symbols and symbolism. This is why symbolism will be their downfall because they hide all this in plain sight. So anything connected to an ism is a part of their culture, their ideas, their reality. And all isms are basically designed to take people off of the path of God and Jesus Christ and put them into one of these categories, which is Zionism, Nazism, Judaism, capitalism, socialism, communism, occultism, liberalism, Darwinism, Satanism, spiritualism, atheism, transgenderism, mysticism, Mormonism, Buddhism, racism, fascism, patriotism, collectivism, conservatism, globalism, etc., etc., etc. All isms serve the purpose of division and separation of people from God and Jesus Christ, creating a path to the 369 system and into the hands of Lucifer or Satan. I'm hoping that you're going to start seeing this more and more and more, that all these things are connected through numerology and symbols, and you can see it when you see it. But your perception must expand to the point where you see this stuff hiding in plain sight, and then the spells no longer have any effect on you. That's about it for this week. You can find me on Mud Fossil Research and Truth, Mud Fossil Truth and Research, Twitter in the box below. You can find me on Rumble and BitChute at Modern American Gangster, and YouTube, Mud Fossil Research and Truth. I'm debating whether I should upload this to YouTube. Anytime you talk about that one group or show pictures of that other group and their symbols from World War II, they usually flag your video and take it down. So you might not be finding these videos on YouTube. You can get my book, The Great Awakening, on lulu.com. Great Awakening Unit 1, Timeline of Historical Events. All this information's in there. Great Awakening Unit 2, Continued Points of Study. More of the secretive stuff that the controllers don't want you to understand or know. There's an ebook, a digital download, The Great Awakening Unit 1 and Unit 2, or you can get the big paperback version, which is both versions in one. That's what you should go for. It's a great coffee table book. It's a great conversation starter. All different takes on reality, on what's going on, completely disproving or coming up with alternate ideas for what is going on, what happened in history, what's going on with sciences, and what's going on with our world today. I'm on Gab at Modern American Gangster. I'm on Truth Social at Modern American Gangster. If you would like to donate, please donate on PayPal, Mudfossil124875. These videos all get demonetized, and it's not like I make a lot of money anyway. I don't make any money from this, but if you'd like to donate, it really does help me, expand my reach and advertise and things like that. Even if it's just a couple bucks, it would help down the line. So if you'd like to donate, please do so. Mudfossil124875. You can see the arrow down there at the bottom is where my number is, or my account name. Schedule for upcoming videos. This video, 7-3, coming out tomorrow or Wednesday, is the end of World War II, the Decode and summary. Next week's video is focusing on Operation Paperclip, 1945 to 1959, what's really going on, and what Operation Paperclip was truly about. Because it was not about space, it was not about rockets. Then I'm going to get into on 717, Operation High Jump, what was going on and details of that operation. 724, the Roswell Crash, what that meant to people. And then 731, Israel is established, 1948, 1949. That's kind of the schedule I'm thinking. It might change, but a lot of this stuff was kind of covered in my National Zionism videos, which you should go back and watch. So that's what's coming up. Hopefully, I might change it up towards the end. I don't know. We'll see. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, follow, share this content. Please leave a thumbs up. It lets me know that people are watching. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July celebration. And that is the end. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend.